was the name of the episode?
Well, Jaydn, let me tell you that today's episode of the Soft Bones podcast is called Serenity Now, a tranquil, inquisitive, and nuanced deep dive into the final stretches of developing our student project, Butterfly Machine. So on today's episode of Serenity Now, a Soft Bones podcast, we'll be attempting to recap everything we remember doing before we went on holiday, and then everything we did while we were on holiday. And then we'll be talking about everything we've done since we've been on holiday.
Oh my.
Oh my.
That's a lot of stuff. That's about a month and a bit.
You know, we didn't get that much done.
That's true.
We were on holiday. We were resting.
Yeah.
And it's important to rest.
Oh, it was a lovely rest. I think the last podcast before we broke up was mostly me complaining about being burnt out.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot better.
Fresh as a daisy, you could say.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. Pretty fresh.
Yeah. Relatively. As fresh as you can be, but after eating most of a Papa John's hot honey slathered pizza and then immediately falling asleep.
Ooh.
Pretty good, though.
That'll be where that bit cuts, and then we're going to...
So, I will begin with whatever I remember doing before the holiday, and I will apologise to our more dedicated of listeners, all four of you, because I do not remember what I talked about on the last episode, because that was like a month ago, and you know what? If I am repeating myself, I'm sure you can find it in your heart to forgive me when I tell you about all the playtesting I did before we broke up. It was really good and interesting, and I filled so many sheets of paper with so many notes of things I need to fix. We playtested the whole game front to back multiple times. It's feeling very good. It's very stable. Shout out to Liz, who accidentally broke the final puzzle by just guessing the solution immediately. Shout out, that was very funny. Did I told you about that, right?
I believe so, but run it by me again.
It's because she was like, wait a second, what if you do this stupid thing? And like attempting to break the game to annoy me, and it was the solution. Very funny.
Very good. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Liz. I nearly died trying to find and fix one really funny bug where you were getting error messages duplicated that should not have been duplicated. And it turns out I did not know that they were duplicating error messages. I thought, oh, the variables are just resetting every other frame for some reason. But no, turns out I just pressed Control D on one of the nodes and duplicated it in the scene tree and not noticed. And that's why it was giving me half the correct error messages and half the wrong error messages. What a nightmare that was. I was genuinely losing my mind a little bit.
Yeesh.
And then, Jaydn, what did you do before we went on our beautiful holiday?
I spent my last week using the small bit of energy I had left to remake the robot main character model for the game, because I do like how the original one looked. But I looked back at it and I thought about how the rest of the world is going to look, and I realized it was just far too high poly, and it just didn't. It looked like it was from a different game, so I decimated my poor boy and I remade him to be like half the detail really.
He's looking lovely.
I like him a lot.
Did we ever name the character? I feel like you did, and I forgot
he's
what
Robert.
you named it. Robert the robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Internally, and then I also
that's a little internal developer secret for you.
A little bit, yeah. We'll put it on the back of the box so it won't get
the
made.
things Danny O'Dwyer will not tell you.
I don't get it. Ooh, that'd be nice for the listeners.
Yeah.
And I started on making just like the whole library of textures. It's a very simple workflow of I've got an account for Sketchfab textures. You get as many free downloads from there as you want, and they're all like public use. And then I just put it into Photoshop, 100 by 100 grid, reduce the colors to however much it looks nice by, because it's not a real limitation, it's just an aesthetic one. Yeah, and then export it out. And that's how all the textures in the game are made.
And that just a delight.
Oh, and then we went on holiday.
And then we went on holiday, but as that is not integral to our game development discussion, it will have to wait for the director's cut of this episode. If you want to hear the director's cut, become friends with us and we'll send you the link.
What did we get done on holiday?
On holiday, well, I can't, I legally can't talk about the stuff we got up to on holiday, but during the Easter break, I can tell you that I noticed that players seemed to resonate with, or seemed to enjoy the very limited amount of narrative teasing I put in a little hint towards the end of the game. And I thought this is a real opportunity, if players seem to enjoy just the little bit of narrative, if I try and add some more writing to the game and expand the lore, try and give the world some sort of narrative voice. And that was really fun. I ended up kind of writing it sort of like a software tutorial, but if the guy giving you the tutorial or reading the manual to you was talking about how you're gonna die. I thought it was quite interesting. I thought it was fun, and it's all delivered in our little what's the word? Diegetic little console log output, which I think is very nice.
Lovely. All in lore, in game.
Yeah.
And that. During the holiday, I got a little bit more done because after we had first 2 weeks off, I didn't touch work because I needed that, and then afterwards I got to work on starting the world pretty much because we need that. We
need that for the game. Unless it will be floating blocks in space until it is released.
Yeah, so I spent about a week and a half, and we went into the studio halfway through the holiday period and drew up a very useful sketch on the
just
board.
A very rough whiteboard sketch.
Yeah, of a top down of the tutorial first and second-ish area. So I just kind of got on with that. So it's not much to talk about other than just that's what I did over those week and a half. One problem we found was there is no reliable way in the game to go up or down.
Yeah, because here's a little in-depth developer secret for you. Because I was really committed to the idea of everything in the world runs on the same logic. When you want to move forwards or backwards or rotate, one of the modules that is on your person, attached to your body, is just sending a signal to you, telling you to move your world position backwards or forwards or rotate. There is no, apart from you having gravity, there is no way for you to, properly traverse environments, because you are just sliding around, but we'll have a little tank tread animation, so you're not just sliding around. But yeah, that also means that you can't really go up or down because you don't tilt. The robot would just be floating in midair with just its corner stuck to the ledge, which is very funny.
Yeah. It means if you look closely, it's so well hidden. The entire game is on one plane.
You do not go up or down the entire time.
And I have no idea how obvious that's going to be. That's one of the things I'm going to find interesting when getting people to play test the actual world bit. It's just being did you notice that the entire thing is... It's not on rail. I guess all linear games are on rails, but it's there's an area outside where I didn't want the outside bit to be flat. I wanted movement in the terrain. So the player is on a large path, and the path is completely flat relative to the whole world around it. And I'm interested to see how people would react to that, or if they just won't even know.
The world's supposed to be kind of a little computery, because I wrote the lore for the game when I was just writing out what I wanted in the tablets for the field. I sent it to you. The thing I ended up coming up with, dear listeners, was you're a little helper robot function in this big AI system that is trying to destroy itself, and you need to go in there and manually reset it but that's kind of your whole purpose. So the whole world is kind of collapsing around you a little bit. So basically, Jaydn's going to make the skybox look a little bit messed up, and maybe put a tree in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other thing I did before we started this week was got some screenshots taken in game.
Yeah.
Because we need them for the publication book for the final end of year show. So for the first time ever, the assets were in engine with the shaders at the same time, and I had a moment of realizing, oh, this actually looks quite nice.
Yeah.
I had a moment of we're so back. It was nice.
Ain't that just delightful?
It was a nice bit of motivation to keep going. And it was like, this isn't a waste of my time.
Yeah. We're actually kind of good, maybe a little bit.
Maybe. I hope so. 5 years.
I hope so. My goodness. So, on Monday, I had an absolutely horrible time doing my least favorite thing, which is writing under time pressure, because I write really, really slowly, and I had to write a bio for the game and a bio for myself for the publication, which I took way too seriously, and that took me all day, and it was really upsetting and very stressful, and I thought it was horrible, but it ended up being pretty good, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've done a whole bunch of scheduling, so we know what we're doing and roughly when we're doing it, and everything we need to have done. We're properly in contact with Ralph Banks, our dearest darling sound designer and musician. Ralph the musician, who is building us some lovely soundscapes that we'll be adding on into the game. I've also been making a little bit of UI sounds, because I also know how to do a little bit of limited sound design, and that's just kind of fun. And now we are recording the podcast.
Now we're recording the podcast at a clean 10:06 a.m.
This is way too early.
Better get it done.
So it's almost like a regular adult work day. We can't do this.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I've been adding in a few extra final things to the game. A little tutorial messages system. I'm figuring out currently the system for triggering and crossfading between the various soundscapes we'll be having in the game. And then, goodness, the main things we need to do before the deadline is convert Jaydn's lovely 3D rendered actual game world into the world I have now, which has all the mechanics in it but is blocks floating in space. I've added a few final gameplay features. We'll be adding in the soundscapes, and then later this week, if I can get my life together, we will be shooting the documentary. Which will basically just be me calling one of the technicians at the Media Lab and saying, "Help, can you show me how to use everything? Help." And then once we have the game assembled, we have the John Hansard Gallery show.
You may be one-man banding that one.
I might be. Jaydn might be dead at work.
Often indisposed, sadly.
Jaydn often indisposed Jones. Yeah. And then I'll be cutting the trailer and the documentary, and then we'll be done.
Yeah, they'll both be going up on the website and on YouTube whenever they're done.
I have only done a very limited amount of video editing in the past, but I just have a vibe that I think it's something I'd be good at.
Yeah.
So I hope I end up being alright at it, and I think I will do fine, but I have a sneaking suspicion that the editing software is going to want to kill me a little bit, because I probably won't be able to do a decent enough job on DaVinci Resolve on my laptop. I mean, I'll try, but I might just be better off heading into the studio with everything on a hard drive and running it all through Premiere Pro.
Premiere Pro, the little bit I used to make some stuff for the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
It is by far the most self-explanatory Adobe product I've used.
Oh.
You put the things on the timeline, you move them about. You turn
that sounds
tracks
delightful.
on and off.
Yeah. Is it easy to cut a thing and then move it?
It's like scissors.
Oh.
Drag. Yeah, it feels.
That sounds
easy.
delightful, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm actually quite excited for that now.
Yeah.
And then that's my stuff. And then Jane, do you want to talk about is there anything you want to talk about?
Yeah. So I have about a week as a deadline, which I think is generous, but I have an iffy relationship with deadlines, so it's on purpose that it's a generous deadline.
I have an iffy relationship with you and deadlines.
And so that's to get that is to have it's difficult because there's like 5 areas, but there's also kind of 4 areas.
Because one of them is repeated.
One of them is repeated, and 3 of them are connected.
Yeah.
So there's like the main body, and then there's like 2 sandwiching them that are like kind of separate, and one of them is a repeat of a middle bit.
Yes.
So it's kind of weird, but basically those 5 areas will be done by the end of that week, which is doable. They'll have been GitHub. Oh yeah, my laptop exploded.
Oh yeah, Jaydn dropped their phone onto their laptop like a fool.
Like a fool, and that's where I do most of my work. Probably foolishly, but so I've now been moving on. I've moved everything onto my PC and been working on there. Which one downside is Git repository is not set up on my PC.
So that's what we're doing once we finish recording.
Yep.
I will be just going downstairs and putting GitHub desktop and the LFS onto Jaydn's PC, and Jaydn will say thank you and kiss me on the cheek.
Maybe about that last bit.
Maybe about that last bit.
Because there's a lot of models that are just done that can just get in the game.
I can just give you a folder where all of your stuff goes.
So we'll sort that out and just do that, and then but it would be nice. It's not a would be nice. It's gonna happen that by the time we have John Hansard, there you can just play through at least the full main section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Plenty of time for adjustments.
How do you think we're gonna be doing with the first person shader?
The shader itself, easy and fine.
Sick.
The only thing I don't know how to do and I'll have to figure out is setting up the shaders to be 2 different things.
Okay.
You can go between that are like have different like on-off states.
I mean, if I can do it in code, then I know exactly where I'm gonna put the functions.
Okay. Yeah, if it's a canvas shader, I think that means it can be in front of the camera that would be on the robot's face, and it would just be a thing of turning it on when you switch to that camera.
Okay, yeah.
And turning it off when you switch back.
Sick.
I think.
Yeah, just point me to where the buttons are in the editor and I can probably figure it out.
We'll find out. So the shader's not the problem.
Shader's not the problem, so it's just the implementation.
Yeah.
But I also think the implementation will probably just be fine.
Probably.
Yeah, I was just saying that for the island section, the last bit where, because I want the player to probably be in first person, so I can just have that be, I can just put like a label 3D in the sky that just says in dev, imagine a beautiful island.
Well, that's yeah. Is it because we're having it so you can swap to in first person at any point?
Yes.
Yeah. That's because on the island it's not a problem, because if that's the only viewpoint, then it's just when you go to that scene, that would just be the
because
camera.
there are no cameras.
Yeah, it's the in the main world where you can go between them, and it's 2 different shaders depending on the camera that you're looking through.
Yeah.
It's the bit that I'm not quite sure how to do that yet, but it should be fine.
Okay.
And then following that, I'll have time for like any changes we want in the world, but also then my priority will be UI.
Yeah.
Because
right now it is still MS Paint artwork.
So I have an idea in my head of what I'm going to do. I had the idea a little while back that I wanted to make the UI as 3D models in Blender, and then export them as an orthographic render of them and mess with them in Photoshop to make them look the like reduced colors and and stuff. And I still think that's a fun and way of doing it and will look nice. And the icons I will just be making in Illustrator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we'll also need to decide what your like border UI looks like, because we'll need to integrate your we'll need to figure out some way to integrate the modules that are like part of your hardware with the UI and make that look neat. But I think that's reasonably doable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that us?
I believe. Well, it's time for my favorite segment and yours.
Mail time.
It's mail time.
Jaydn,
There's no mail.
there's no mail.
Man,
None of you emailed us.
I don't think we're getting any mail.
I spent £40 on this extra mailbox for my website for nothing.
I think we did actually pay a little extra for mail. For the domain name, for the ability to like get mail.
That's very funny.
So thanks, Liz.
This concludes Serenity Now, the, I believe, 6th episode of the Softbones production of Butterfly Machine podcast. I hope you have had a very good time. This might be the last episode.
I think we'll get another one in.
Okay. For after John Hansard. Okay, I'm happy with that.
Documentary stuff.
Yeah, that'll be good. I can talk about if you were right about Premiere Pro being reasonable. Yeah.
See you next time.
I'll see you next time.